up when it matters, showing up when it counts, and bringing folks along with you. Just because you got there, don't mean you have arrived. So there were a lot of themes yesterday, and while we may have scratched the surface, today we're going to dig a little deeper.
Bring up the lady of the hour today, Miss Desiree Peterkin, who is the one who is behind this amazing event. So let's give a round of applause and bring up Desiree.
I'm Desiree Peterkin, President and CEO of DP Bell and Associates. My firm represents brands that want to influence. We represent movements that want to be disruptive. We also represent people who want to make impact. And I am so happy to see all of you here for Women of Influence, Purpose, and Opposition. We're going to have some real conversations today. Did you guys enjoy USOW yesterday? About women showing up, what purpose and opposition is, and how we always influence. It's not just about hashtag. It's about making real impact. We have tribes of women who stand and support us. I have spent all of my life trying to help other women connect, reach their potentials, and also bring them to the table, even when other folks said I couldn't. You need to bring other folks to the table. And if people are telling you you can't, what did Shirley Chisholm say?
Bring a folding
chair, honey. Or make your own table in the same room. Right? That's what we have to do as women. We are bringing United States of Women to the state of Pennsylvania. Yes, we are. Galvanized PA, and my other co-chair in that work is, she's my forever local first lady, Lisa Nutt. Thank you guys, Petty Cash. Y'all are great.
Right?
So I am going to introduce our illustrious panelists. They have all agreed to have this conversation. I am extremely grateful for spaces where we can be honest with one another. Yesterday was amazing, and I think we scratched the surface of some of these conversations, but today I really want to dig a little deeper and have some conversations about how we show up, like I said, but also the differences within our own struggle and the power of using our own voice. Without further ado, we are going to introduce Kimberly Fox. Oh, Lord, yeah! All right, so we're going to get into it. All right, Women of Influence. Purpose and opposition. What does that mean to you? What does leading by influence mean to you? We're in Los Angeles. We're in Petty Cash. Woo, shout out Petty Cash again. Yes, we are surrounded by women from everywhere. And we all have different and unique stories. We had people who at first may have counted us out or thought we were special because we somehow made it. We have folks who've influenced, 20,000 folks, and folks who've influenced 20 million people. So we all come from different walks of life, different experiences. How do we all work together? How do women who are focused on influencing and being driven by purpose from different walks of life, how do we work together? Because I think we've seen some challenging things happening all across the country, regardless of whatever side of the aisle you're on, but there are challenges that are real, right? And our stories are real, but they're different. So how do we take those stories, and how do we continue to influence with each other? I mean, I've sat across some tables of women all across the world who come from different experiences. It is very difficult sometimes to understand that we all have to be open, right? That's the reality. We have to be open. There is no monolithic group. Like everyone in this room has a different set of priorities, but you're all here. So we have some commonalities, but we also have some differences. You have to understand and respect that. I try to teach my daughter that. She's 9.5 years old, and I try to teach her to honor everyone's difference. And even differences even within our own group. Like I'm black, but I was from the projects, and I'm not from the projects anymore. Even within black folk, you got a whole bunch of difference, right? And so she's learning through that difference, and I want her to know that even though folks may look like her, they may not have the same experiences. That is a tale here that we also need to own. As women, we have different experiences. we are our greatest enemy sometimes, because I think that when I say we, I mean women, quite frankly, because of the idea of competition, because of the idea of not even understanding like the differences that exist among us and even within us. The challenge is, how do we leave some of that stuff at the door so that we can get the work done? Because that's the focus. The focus is the purpose, right? Not your position, not your title, not your organization. Your focus is the purpose and the work. So how do we continue to do that? And how do you do that in your work? Your story is amazing. I think what you shared fits in perfectly, essentially, when we talk about people showing up for each other. So I want to ask you the big doozy question, and then I'm going to ask everyone this question, which is, you know, we had a difficult time a couple of years ago. So there was this thing that's happened. It was an election. So, and then all of a sudden there was like a break. When I say a break, I mean all of a sudden women were like on, like folks were looking at each other like this. All right, Becky, I don't do Becky. Okay, no. I'm a black woman. I'm leading, right? Like it became very divisive. And I unfortunately was part of that, because literally I remember going outside like, I'm afraid to look at it. I don't know if they really voted. Like, what is wrong? I don't want to be surrounded by anybody. But then after these conversations, I even sat down with an associate of mine who did vote for Donald Trump, and we talked great lengths about many different things, and I realized that I had to approach things differently in terms of even how I disagree with people, right? I can't start with you're an idiot. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not helpful, right? Doesn't work. So you have to come open, right? But you also have to show up. When I say show up, I mean you got to show up to the conversation being willing to hear. So that's what we're dealing with right now. So you showed up at a town hall, though. The perfect segue. It looks like we rehearsed it. We did it. So talking about the hard things is, my company is launching these global chat and shoes. We're doing these series all across the world, actually. We've already done them quietly in Tel Aviv and India and Greece. We've done it in New York. We've done it in Philly. These are conversations that we're having, which is why it was so important for them. We have been having these global chat and shoes with women from around the world. Everyone from a woman who was very proud white supremacist to a Black Lives Matter activist. And we brought these women around the table to have honest conversation. And what we have found is that we have more in common than we have, there's more in common than that divides us. And so we brought mothers from around the table who come from different walks of life. But I want to challenge everyone here to really be uncomfortable. When you walk in your purpose and you're not worried about your position, that means that you are focused on making an impact as well. And if that is the case, that means sometimes you have to go in places and spaces that you may not know a lot about. And continue to learn about her being a woman of influence, right? Jane has been around for a long time. But she said something powerful yesterday, and she stood up there in front of thousands. I am still learning, right? And that is honesty, but that's also about being authentic. It's also about being uncomfortable with it and understanding that there are places and spaces that you do not know, but if you want to make impact, you have to go in those places and spaces. What places and spaces have you gone in where you felt uncomfortable, but you knew you had to be there before? But this is the realness, right? This is the realness of day 2.
Right.
Yesterday was inspirational. It was amazing. We saw Michelle, our forever first lady, right? And now today we're doing the work, right? And so part of that work and part of this conversation is having everyone feel a little uncomfortable, because that's the only way we're going to make any kind of impact. See it. That's it. If you are comfortable, then not much will change, right? And that's with anything. Right? I mean, if you ever were an athlete, you're an artist, you know what I mean? You had to be uncomfortable to take a chance. You had to be uncomfortable to keep going, to stay focused, so that you could try to make an impact. So these are the honest conversations that we're having. So the questions are, how do we all show up for each other? We all show up here in LA, all women, right? And some allies too. But how do we constantly support each other even when we do go home? Right, so that's and this is going to be our mission, partly our mission for 2018 and going up into 2020, which is kind of the pivotal year for many reasons. in these chat and chew dinners. We are challenging people to be uncomfortable, right? With some comfort food. And so that's what we're going to be doing all across the world. But we're going to have some honest conversations. It'll be another interesting panel of some women who've kind of been through some stuff, have developed themselves as well, and are constantly learning. But these are the real conversations that we need to have.